Hey guys, this is Max Headspace 9mm. And a lot of you guys know me as kind of a gun guy. I mean, that's the theme of the show, right? Well, I'm not just a gun guy. I'm an all-around guy. I like a lot of guy things. And you probably noticed that I haven't been making too many gun videos lately. Well, that's because I've been distracted with a new project I've been working on. It's not a gun, but it is kind of interesting, and a lot of gun guys are into cars. So I'm going to kind of show you what it is that's been taking up so much of my time lately. It is a little project I call my Hot Rod Cobra. I'm going to show it to you today on Max Headspace 9mm. So this is a kit. It's a kit car. It's fiberglass, not aluminum like the original car. An original Shelby Cobra would probably run you a minimum of $500,000. I don't have $500,000, but I do have a little bit of time and know-how, and fiberglass is a little bit less trouble for a body material anyway. So the fiberglass kits are pretty good. And the nice thing about kit cars is you can build them the way you want. So this car, I don't know how many of you have ever seen a Cobra. Maybe you're of my generation where you saw one as a kid and you just can't believe how beautiful those things are. Well, when I was about 9 years old, I saw one of these in person. And I just couldn't believe what a beautiful car it is. The lines, the shapes. There's not a flat area on this car. It's all kind of rounded. It's just a beautiful, beautiful shaped body, and it's very fast. So I just thought of Cobras as the ultimate car, and I grew up that way. And eventually I got to the age where I decided, you know, I can't afford a real one, but I can certainly afford one of the many kits that are out there. So my wife, being really awesome and understanding, said go ahead and do it. And I invested in one of these kit cars. And I've been working on it over the years. I've had this for about 8 years now. It started out, I got a steel box tube frame and the fiberglass body. And I have modified this frame heavily. I have changed the geometry of the suspension. It was set up for a solid axle. I changed it to a Jag independent rear suspension, which is a completely different geometry and setup. I had to basically just reconfigure the kit for my own purposes. And I like it. It's got adjustable coilovers. I can adjust the ride height to whatever I want. And it's going to have a great road feel to it because of that IRS. Most of these kits that you see will have a solid axle. And since you're only sitting a few inches in front of the rear tires, that's going to beat your spine to death. What I did was, I go to a lot of car shows. And at the car shows, I would talk to these guys that had these kit Cobra cars. And I asked them, what do you hate about your car? And they were really honest with me. Most of them said, I hate the rear suspension. It beats me up. It's uncomfortable on long trips. And they all generally have these live axles. And so I wanted independent rear suspension. I went to the work to put this Jag axle in here, and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. It's taken a while, but I think it's worth it. Another thing that they complain about is their feet burning up. You see, when they shoehorned a huge big block 427 engine in these cars, there's not much room between the headers and where your feet go, as you can see. And I've never seen anybody with a Cobra wrap their pipes. Now there's a product called pipe wrap. You can wrap your headers with this stuff. And it insulates really, really well. I've seen it on some really cool rat rods and hot rods, but never on a Cobra before. I'm going to do that. Now, I'm not going with a 427 big block like a lot of guys do. And the reason is because for the purists, they're basically going to have a problem with the engine choice I've got here. This is not a traditional Cobra engine. This is a Chevy small block, Chevy 350, with a Route 671 blower, supercharged. It's got two 4-barrel quick fuel 650 carburetors, and it dynos at about 650 horsepower. That's a lot. But with the gearing ratio and everything that I'm doing here, this much lighter engine, this is much lighter than the 427 that went in the car originally, and it will actually handle really well because, let me tell you a little bit about the history of the AC Cobra. Carroll Shelby went to England, fell in love with this little AC Ace, and they were going out of business. He made a deal to get a bunch of the bodies and frames from them sent to America, where they would put some kind of an American engine in the car instead of the straight six that they came with. He went to Chevy first. Chevy didn't want the car because they had the Corvette. Carroll Shelby said that the engine that he wanted in this car, the engine that would be ideal, was the 350 Chevy. But they were not interested, so he went to Ford second. Ford said, sure, that would be great. So they put a 289 Ford small block in the original Shelby Cobra, which was the FIA Racer. That is the car that won all the races and gave it the legendary status that it enjoys to this day, not the 427. When the 427 was put in this car, it was a decision by the Ford Motor Company executives. It was a promotional idea. Carroll did not want that engine in the car. And his racers that raced it after that said it destroyed the handling. They nicknamed the car the Turd after that, and they started losing races. So, I know everybody thinks that the 427 Cobra is just the most amazing thing, and you got to have a 427 big block in the car, but that's not really what Carroll Shelby wanted. It ruins the handling, and I would rather get my horsepower out of something really light and nimble like this. This is built to the hilt. It is ported, all the internals are polished, it's port matched, it's balanced, it's blueprinted, it's got H-beam push rods, a forged crank. It's as beautiful inside as it is out. This is an amazing, amazing engine. It has a real lopey cam. It's just going to be so cool to cruise in this thing. I can't wait to get it all done. What I'm doing right now, as you can kind of see, I'm working out the wiring. There's a lot to do here. This is a much simpler, smaller car than most hot rods. There's just not nearly as many wiring circuits as there in on bigger cars with AC and power windows and power doors and all of that kind of stuff. This is a fairly simple car. But look at all that wiring I'm sorting out. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast doing this. And I'll keep you posted as the progress happens. And we'll make sure that you see this thing running someday soon. I'm probably still another year or two out. So if any of you guys are into cars, let me know what you think in the comments section. I love talking to you. And for now, this is Max Headspace 9mm. Have a good one.